Ready for the whoa-off, the Keanu Reeves whoa-off? 1, 2, 3, go. Whoa.
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 This is dumb.
This is not dumb. This is chain reaction. But it was also kind of dumb.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to Forgotten Cinema. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences, whether it be because a more popular movie is released at the same time, or the film simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the film or don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy Forgotten Cinema, we want to hear from you. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We're available on all platforms with a backlog of over, I'm going to say 250 episodes for your listening pleasure, because I think we're at that mark.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm guessing. I'm guessing. But I will adjust the generic opening as we speak. Boop, boop, boop,
We're
boop.
definitely over it between regular episodes, special episodes, bonus episodes, the now showings, the now rentings.
Too much. Way too much.
We got it.
Saturating the market with Forgotten Cinema. How you doing, Mike?
Whoa, my microphone's moving.
Oh, boy. There we go.
I'm doing all right. Other than, the government's suppressing our free energy.
Be more specific.
Well, be more specific. The government's suppressing hydrogen energy that Keanu Reeves made with his bare hands.
Yes.
Blowing it up. Leveling a decent size portion of Chicago.
Decimating.
And then going after him to build it again in a different area.
Well, they were already building. Well, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
But we are talking about the 1996 film Chain Reaction. For those who do not know what Mike was talking about, that's what we were referencing. Mike, before I get into the facts, why don't you hit us with a quick, brief synopsis that I know you have not prepared and you're looking right now up on the computer.
2 researchers in a green alternative energy project are put on the run when they are framed for murder and treason. It's literally both synopsises on IMDb right there, so I like it.
That's it.
One
Short
sentence.
and sweet. Chain Reaction has a runtime of 107 minutes. It's rated PG-13. Production budget of $50 million. It came out on August 2nd, 1996. And its opening weekend, it did $7.5 million. Domestic, $21.2 million. International, $39 million, for a worldwide total of $60.2 million. Not a hit, Butler.
Woof.
Not a hit. Production company was the Zanuck Company and Chicago Pacific Entertainment, and it was distributed by 20th Century Fox. Now, I said it came out on the 2nd of August. Let's jump back a week to July 26th, where we had a wide release of the movie Kingpin, The Adventures of Pinocchio, Joe's Apartment, and Super Cop. You've seen, let me guess, Kingpin and maybe Joe's Apartment?
I love Joe's
There
Apartment.
we go.
I wanted
on
to
the list, though, Butler.
I wanted to put it on the list, and you told me I couldn't put it on the list.
First of all, I don't
Well,
run the list like
that
a
means you're going to tell me
totalitarian.
no. Well, that black man's coming. I'm just kidding. Listen.
On the list and choosing to do the movie are two different things.
But yes, I have. Kingpin's great, and I really do like Joe's Apartment. It's really stupid, but
Yes.
I really like Joe's
Yes,
Apartment.
it is. The 2nd of August, the day that this film came out, you had a wide release of Matilda and a limited release of Fat Beach and Emma. You've seen Matilda, maybe?
I've seen Matilda.
I know you haven't seen Fat Beach.
What's Fat Beach?
It's like a comedy. It's just, it's a comedy.
Okay.
It's Fat, PHAT. Pretty hot and tempting. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I thank you. Thank you.
August 9th, the week after, you had a wide release of Escape from LA and Jack, and then a limited release of Basquiat. Obviously, you've seen Escape from LA.
I love him surfing.
It's better than
And
better
the
than playing
basketball
basketball. I do.
Bruce Campbell is the weird guy.
I think Escape from LA it's a little underappreciated.
I need to watch it again.
Yeah, I do think it's still a decent film. I just think it's not Escape from New York, so I think that's what gets a lot. And it's so subversive and so surrealistic that
It's definitely weirder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This film was directed by Andrew Davis, who has done The Fugitive, Under Siege, and Collateral Damage, and you kind of can figure that out because it's got a lot of
same
people, a lot of
people,
same
yeah.
cops from The Fugitive that are in this film, so you kind of get that sense. And the FBI team is almost like
They're supposed to
it's
represent.
almost like the C level of the
the US
Sam
Marshals,
Gerard.
yeah.
Yeah. This film has a ton of story and screenplay credits, and I think that's because the original script was purchased, and then they rewrote it, and then they rewrote it. And I think this movie had a lot of uncredited rewrites. Plus, they didn't even use a script during the film, which we'll get into. So, which will probably be part of the review as well, and what we're talking about. Okay, so I have 3 story credits: Arne Schmidt, Rick Seaman, and Josh Friedman. Schmidt has done Hunter Killer. Rick Seaman he's mostly done stunts. So he's did the Charlie's Angels 2000 and Paycheck. Friedman did Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and the 2005 War of the Worlds. And then the 2 screenplay credits, one for J.F. Lawton and the other from Michael Bortman. Lawton has done Pretty Woman and Blank Man Butler.
Yay!
And Bortman has done The Good Mother and Crooked Hearts.
Well, now we have to do Blank Man. It's been
We
decided.
don't have to do anything. Cinematographer was Frank Tidy. He's done The Duelists and Under Siege. And the composer was Jerry Goldsmith, who I think was last week's or the week before's composer.
Yep.
And I'll give you the same credit. 18 nominations, 1 win for The Omen. Edited by 4 people: Don Brochu, Dov Honing, Arthur Schmidt, and Mark Stevens. Brochu and Honing, I think, are
A team.
yes. Thank you, Butler. I could
You're
not
welcome.
figure that because they both were nominated for The Fugitive. Brochu has done Volcano, and Honing has done Dark City as well. Schmidt has won 2 Oscars and nominated for 3. He's won for Forrest Gump, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and he was nominated for Coal Miner's Daughter. And then Mark Stevens did done Batman and Robin and 8mm, to name a few. Produced by Andrew Davis and Arne Schmidt. Davis has done Holes in the Package, and Schmidt has done RoboCop, the original, and The Great Outdoors, which we found out last week that Butler's never seen. Terrible. Keanu Reeves plays Eddie Kaselvich. Kaselvich? Yeah.
I think so.
That's what I think I say.
Sounds right.
He plays Eddie. I mean, I would assume a lot of people know where Keanu's from. I won't even say John Wick, which I just did. So how about Point Break, Speed, The Matrix,
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted, Parenthood. Not the TV show, the movie. So a lot. He's been around. Morgan Freeman as Paul Shannon. He has been nominated for 5 Oscars, Butler.
Woof.
What you got for me? 1-1. What you got for
Driving
me?
Miss Daisy.
That's 1. You didn't want win for that. Nominated.
Shawshank Redemption.
That's 2. You're not gonna get one. You're not gonna get one of them because
Was he nominated for Invictus?
Yes, that's 3. Good
I
job.
like Invictus a lot.
But that's not where did he win?
He didn't win for Shawshank?
No, he did not win
Oh
for
my God.
Shawshank. Come on, where did he win? Come on. Doesn't have a great ending. It's very sad.
Oh, Unforgiven is what he won for, right?
Nope.
Was he nominated for Unforgiven?
Nope.
Damn.
Boxing.
Gone Girl? No, he's not. Not Gone Girl. The Clint Eastwood
Yes.
boxing. It's not called
$1 Million
Gone.
Baby.
$1 Million Baby.
He won for
okay.
that. And he was also nominated for Street Smart, which is one of his earlier films.
Yeah, I would have guessed that.
Yep. Rachel Weisz as Dr. Lily Sinclair. She was nominated for The Favorite as an Oscar, and she won an Oscar for The Constant Gardener. Fred Ward as FBI agent Leon Ford from Tremors, The Right Stuff, and Shortcuts. Kevin Dunn, FBI agent Doyle from Transformers, Dave and the TV show Veep. Brian Cox as Lyman Earl Collier. I don't know why he needs a big giant name. Just give him a first name. TV show Succession, movie adaptation, and X2 X-Men United. I was gonna look this guy's name up, and I completely did not. So Zima, I think that's how I say his name. Tzimi plays Lu Chen from Rush Hour, The Farewell, and The Quiet American. I think that's how you say it. Joanna Cassidy as Maggie McDermott from Blade Runner, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and then you have a couple of faces you probably recognize. Chelsea Ross, he's in like 2 scenes. He plays one of the FBI guys or their boss or whatever. He was in Major League, was the older pitcher who tells, up you Jabu. He's also in Hoosiers. He's the guy that gets kicked out of the practice. He's the coach that he kicks him out. Michael Shannon in there for a hot second as a flower
It's the
guy.
flower guy.
And you had Neil Flynn, for people who love the Scrubs show, excuse me. He was also in The Fugitive, same thing, cop. So
Good shot.
Yeah.
Same exact role.
Yeah. I was always like, is it the same character? But like he's in Wisconsin. He's a Wisconsin state trooper in that part. Was when they're supposed to be in Wisconsin at that point. They're not in Chicago.
Oh, in Chain Reaction, yeah. Most of the movie takes place in Chicago.
Yeah,
it's right in the
train. All right, Butler. I actually told my friend about this movie today. I'm like, we're doing Chain Reaction today. He's like, oh man, I love Chain Reaction. And I go, really?
One of the people that follows us when I made my story, arguing with myself, shout out, Chris Woodell, mentioned that he had watched Chain Reaction. It was one of the first movies he watched or the first thing he watched when his dad bought a big 55-inch TV. And he's like, I remember the Chain Reaction. I go, well, maybe don't watch it again.
Chain Reaction. Okay. So anyway, I said to him, I go, I'm like, you should. I go, really? He's like, oh, really? I really like Split. I go, oh no, I like that. There's a lot of neat action stuff in there. There's a lot of cool moments, but everything putting it together is a mess. And then I started telling him what we'll probably start talking about. When you realize how it was put together and written, and I got a couple quotes from Keanu, which is pretty telling.
Oh yeah.
So, but Butler, go ahead, kind of give me your little spiel, your little rundown.
Well, I remember liking this when I was younger.
Agreed, and me too.
Yeah, and I remember. I don't think I saw it in theaters. I think we rented it, like my family, and I watched it. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And it's just obviously when you're that young, it's just like action, awesome. But when you're older and you're watching it for story, it's just like, I mean, this is like one of those. I think this is like one of the perfect. This is my note. There's like the perfect movies where we talk about the bones are solid and you could make a good movie out of this. Because what shows on screen is just, it's kind of a mess plot wise. It just doesn't flow well, and I think that we're going to talk about all the notes and stuff. Is just kind of incoherent nonsense, and it just kind of, it's just. There's some good story beats, but so much is unbelievable. Like the fact that Keanu, like Eddie, is this technical genius. Like he's a dork.
He's an engineer.
Nerd. He's an engineer, and he's beating the crap out of and avoiding all these hardcore ex-military black ops soldiers, and he's winning against them time and time again. And it's just like, I don't buy it. I don't really. It's just so much of it. The forced kind of relationship between Rachel Weisz's character and Keanu Reeves' character.
Well, they don't ever put them together. I can understand them having an emotional connection throughout the whole thing. That made that the way they did that was okay. They didn't give them a love scene. They didn't do anything like that. But
there's a couple I like Morgan Freeman's character is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think they played him well. And the concept, the whole just government suppressing free energy, and I have some actual facts about that as well. If we want to go down a little bit of the conspiracy and actually true fact train.
We'll save that for later.
I'll save that for later. So I think my favorite parts are some of the action beats are good. The bridge scene is really cool. The
bridge scene, the only thing with the bridge scene, I feel like they were like, oh, let's use the bridge scene somehow. Yeah, he climbs up and then what? And then I'll figure out how to get out of it. Yeah.
It gets down the same way he came up.
Yeah.
So there's some cool moments, and I really like Morgan Freeman's character, but there's not a whole lot to really story wise to appreciate, I guess. And obviously like I said, we'll get into it. There's a reason.
Well, I'm going to get into that right now. So the original script was written by Josh Freeman, and it was called Dead Drop. They took that script, and I want to say that either that script or some kind of fashion of that script was what got Keanu Reeves on, what got a couple people to sign up.
He read, yeah.
And then there's an interview with Brian Cox years later who claimed that there were 8 writers working on the script uncredited. And the film was essentially shot with what they called a beat script, which is, I don't believe is a common term in Hollywood and filmmaking. But what they basically had was a script that had story beats, and that was it. Very little dialogue, very little else. Like the scene
in school, I learned to call that a treatment.
Yeah. The scene where at the end of the film, when Brian Cox and Morgan Freeman get into the elevator at the end and Cox is talking, that's just Brian Cox improvising a monologue, which is only maybe 4 or 5
no, they
lines.
said they reshot it.
Did they?
What shows up on film is scripted
right.
because Morgan Freeman was so against it. He was like, I'm not talking at all.
Well, he also had been there for months.
8 months or something like that,
so
dealing with it. Yeah.
He doesn't like the cold, but so they didn't have they didn't have a script. And so let me give you the Keanu Reeves quote. As you move forward, a lot of actors regret things they do in other films. And so Keanu Reeves expressed regret about Chain Reaction. And he said that of his character, he's like, originally he was married. He had a kid. He did all this research and he didn't know that what he was researching had this effect when someone got killed. And I had these regrets. Let me read it. Someone got killed and I had these regrets and I'm trying to stop what I'm doing, but they can't let me. So they're chasing me. And then all of a sudden I turned to this 24-year-old machinist. I turned to Andrew Davis and I said, what happened to the movie I said yes to? What happened to that script? Where did that go? And he said, no, I got something better. And so I just had to go with it. So it was almost like at that point, it became a job and it was like, okay, let's see what I can do.
You were contractually obliged, so you had to do it. But it makes sense because he's 32, 33 when he filmed this movie. So it's like, you're not a student. You don't look like a student.
True. I mean, granted, when you have graduate programs and you're in, you know what I mean? It's older, more of so when you hear that, and I'm not going to say that all movies are not put together well when maybe the script falls apart or where they start improvising and start doing things that are other than the typical filmmaking when you're just like read the script and move on. Okay, we're
Right,
gonna do this
yeah.
page. But it's never really a great thing in terms of the story and the plot points and connecting everything. You might have great scenes. You have a nice opening where it explode, the explosion, and all that stuff. And
Yep.
it's getting away. But then after that, I mean, I couldn't follow the science. I couldn't understand what they were. I mean, not that I couldn't understand what the concept was, but like their explanation, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. You're just, okay, so it works. Why? It just works. Okay. You know, stuff like that.
Because of frequencies. No, wait, no, because of the heat of the laser. No, it's because of the frequency. It's like, is it the heat of the laser or is it the frequency? What are you putting into this water?
Right. The whole idea of the FBI team with Fred Ward, which is basically, like I said, like C-level
Gerard, yeah.
Sam Gerard and everybody from The Fugitive and the U.S. Marshal movie, which we did a couple of seasons ago. U.S. Marshals, not The Fugitive. If I'm comparing the two teams, it felt like with Sam Gerard, with Tommy Lee Jones' character, he has that great line where he's like, I didn't kill my wife. I don't care. Like he was
Right.
just about capturing him. Fred Ward, his character is all too eager to just believe the guy. He's all
This
too
is
like,
too
it's not
easy.
him.
It's
Yeah.
not him. $100. It's not
Like,
him.
he even comes at it in the beginning where he's just kind of like, what? No way. He's innocent. Like you almost kind of feel like he just wants him to win.
Yeah.
So it was really like the FBI was never really a threat. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
the threat is obviously.
Well, the threat is if they get captured, obviously, then that's easy access for the Black Ops guys to come in and.
Which, to your point about how the Black Ops guys were really terrible at actually capturing Eddie, that was probably demonstrated best at the museum
Oh, okay.
when
Yep.
he's clearly surrounded
Oh, yeah.
and he somehow just
He
pushes
throws
the guy.
He pushes one guy. Ninja throws another guy into a display. Takes a bone from the display of the caveman.
Yeah.
Hits another guy. Gets on the plane. Avoids them. Sneaks in.
This guy, and they're doing no like any kind of trained moves to stop him. There's no defensive moves.
They're just like, no, get
Right.
pushed over.
They're just like regular dudes just fighting.
Meanwhile, they pull out Rachel Weisz's character and they spray her with the spray, and she's immediately knocked out.
I was like, what?
Couldn't use that on Keanu just 2 seconds ago.
And then what made me what made me laugh is that he's in the hallway and he sees them and he's gonna go out and stop them, and like it's chained, and I'm like, you're gonna go out there and stop them?
Yeah.
Like at some point, are they gonna pull their guns and like, you know?
No, he's already bested 5 of them. He could take the 3 people.
And what threw me is that you had 2 guys on there, one that looked like Budget William Sadler, and the other one that I kept thinking was the guy from Alias was I wrote his name down, was Carl Lumbly from Alias. I don't know if you ever watched Alias.
No.
He works with Sydney. He works with Jennifer Garner, works with Alias at the thing. And I was like, that must be him. That's him. And then I'm like, it wasn't. And I'm like, he looks just like him. So I kept looking at the guy. I know that's not William Sadler, but that's always what I'm thinking about. And then I started thinking about Die Hard 2 as I'm watching this. So I was all over the map.
Naked Tai Chi from Die Hard 2.
And the other thing while we're on the topic of the law enforcement, they have the fastest police response ever. Like there's a point where the call is being traced, and all of a sudden, like 6 cars,
they're already
are there.
The call's being traced in a small town in Wisconsin. There,
And then when he's on the bridge and he's walking up the bridge, and then the Fred Ward's character, the FBI guys, they get them call like, oh, he's on the bridge,
And they're there.
He's there. I was like, wow, these guys are really responding fast.
Yeah. I think it's a whole crowd around the bridge right away too.
Yeah. Well, that's probably people watching them shoot, honestly.
Like I like Morgan Freeman's character, but one thing I wasn't a huge fan of is the fact that they paint him out to be the bad guy pretty much immediately. It's like immediately
when he's
clear that
fighting
he's
he's
fighting with the original scientist whose name I forgot already.
Alistair.
Alistair, yeah. He's fighting with him there. He looks suspicious while he's smoking his cigar. Like he's got all the clear-cut signs of, and the camera point is pointed from downward up at him. All the clear signs of, oh, yep, this is the guy. This is the guy.
My note was that the cigar budget must have been really high in this film, because he has one as he goes into the sea, whatever it is, sea level, or I can't remember what they call it, sea system.
Sea system, yeah.
And he throws it down. It wasn't even half done. It was all just started. It throws it down, goes to the next scene. He's already got another one
yep.
in his hand, in his mouth. I'm like, here.
I don't think there's a scene where he doesn't have a cigar. Maybe the parking garage, and that's about it.
Maybe he took a lot of that home. I'll do this, but I'm taking all the cigars home.
I want real Cubans. Oh, the other thing is like, how stupid are the Not only are the special force guys not able to like get Eddie, but like they're so dumb about everything. They're doing it right out of the open. The cops are chasing Eddie and they fly down to almost building level on this public land. And then they shoot a cop, not with like a pistol round, but a high power rifle. Like
on the roof.
Anti bulletproof vest round. That's when they shoot Yan Etor from Scrubs.
Yeah.
And they like shoot him through. It's just like, you're the worst. You're the worst special forces guys.
I think
there's cops and FBI agents all over this case.
My comment there was, is he that bad of a shot? Because he's either aiming at them, but he hits the officer on the roof, or was he aiming for the officer? And then my question is, well, why exactly would you be doing that?
Exactly. It looked like he aimed for the officer.
Yeah. So that doesn't make any sense. Because you're just trying to set them up, so let them escape, so we can get them
because they want to get them. Yeah,
maybe that makes a little bit of sense.
It's just so dumb, and then it adds to like the stupidity of Brian Cox's character of Lyman Collier.
And then
he's so dumb. He's just like so like even like Paul just keeps Morgan Freeman's character just keeps saying it. You're too violent. You're getting sloppy. You're sloppy. Yeah, he's super sloppy.
Yeah, their relationship in terms of who's in charge and who's running what.
It's very confusing.
It's very confusing. You don't know. I mean, you have that scene in the end where Paul Shannon, Morgan Freeman's character, kind of gets one up on him and he shoots him and whatnot. It's like, oh, your retirement's been whatever. It's already been determined. And I'm thinking, by who? Where? Like when? Like
by the hires up.
Like, yeah, who? Like, so.
I mean, it's probably it's the Defense Department because that's what they said he kept working, like the DOD.
Yeah.
But like you said, like Lyman in charge of the particle accelerator, or is Paul?
And that's my other question. And then we can take this and take it into your real science conspiracy theory stuff. What exactly is happening here? So you have two teams simultaneously doing this? You have two teams simultaneously building this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I got from it.
Well,
the government one and the public one.
Right.
The public one is getting the funding, whatever, and then you can go, oh, it failed. And then continue it on the government side. The Defense Department gets it and doesn't have to share it and doesn't have to spread free energy to anybody, so they can keep the petrol dial alive. I imagine.
So I that was a little odd. And then when they show up at the facility, the C Systems facility,
which Eddie breaks into with no problem, like a super spy.
He's a machinist.
He's the next James Bond, man.
That you have another group of scientists, and they're like so flippant.
They're dumb.
Yeah, they're so flippant, and like. My question is like, these are the guys you hire. Like, these are the people that you thought were smarter than the people that actually did it. Like, wouldn't you like recruit them at some point?
These are the government guys. They don't need this. These are the B team. You just need to copy what A team does. And then they flip the switch, like they pull the breaker and he's like, well, now the thing's going to explode. It's like, how are you? You're the scientists that built this. You should know not to turn the off switch on.
Yeah. Not only is Eddie a fantastic machinist, he's also a computer programmer. He knows his way around, the entirety of any kind of system.
Reprogramming it.
I love how you have this super secure facility and Eddie just decides to start building this thing there. Nobody's there. No cameras are on. Nobody's watching. He just has the run of it the entire night and builds this device, the same device that they had. You think that if they were going to explode it,
right,
and they were going to get rid of the evidence, they would have taken what worked, what made it work in the first place is what Eddie had, developed and designed.
Well, I think they thought it was just his code, his quote unquote frequency.
Right.
Which Eddie figured out. And that one moron scientist was like, yeah, it was me. The other night I was just up and I was like, what if I adjust the frequency? Yeah. What if I just, Paul's like, get out of here.
Well, why don't you go into your, dive into your clean energy conspiracy theory stuff.
Okay. I don't want to get too far into it because that's not what this channel is. And obviously I don't want to have a tinfoil hat on while I talk, but there's some really weird stuff. I mean, there's some great stuff on YouTube. You can already find out about it. I'll start out with the fact that, and I'm not going to name names or anything in this, but
he named names.
Well, there are plenty of people in the last hundred years or so who have mysteriously passed away after declaring that they found free energy solutions.
Shot here.
Like hydrogen power things, kind of like what they talk about in Chain Reaction, or just any other kind of free energy type device. Obviously, Nikola Tesla, famously, the government came in after he passed away after declaring that they didn't want any of his technology and took all of his stuff and research. But there are people in the last, 50, 60 years who one guy, I can't remember his name. I could probably look him up. I'm not going to, because as I said, I'm not going to name names. But he was going to make an announcement in New York City. Like the next day, he was going to have a whole press conference about what he found, and then he passed away of an aneurysm on his way to the meeting. And there's plenty of examples of that, but that's like kind of down to conspiracy theory hall. But what's real is the Invention Secrecy Act by the United States Congress. I'll read it right from Wikipedia. The Invention Secrecy Act of 1951, enacted February 1st, codified, blah, 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 is a body of United States federal law designed to prevent disclosure of new inventions and technologies that, in the opinion of selected federal agencies, present an alleged threat to the economic stability or national security of the United States. And they have suppressed so much stuff. Some people have gone up and said, I created this, and they suppressed it, or I did this. And basically anything they declare is is wrong. So if you declare something that, we won't have a reliance on oil anymore, the government's definitely going to take that. There are rules already, supposedly, that say that solar panels can't be a certain amount proficient, and tons of different rules. And the Secrecy Act has been around for, 70 years now. And they actually, in 2000 and something, they tried to expand the powers of the Secrecy Act. And it was luckily shot down by scientists, basically saying that anything that gets hit by this order, even if it's only for a certain amount of time, 10, 12 years, kills the science that invention has developed, and sets it back decades upon decades, because anything that gets hit by the Secrecy Act, no scientist wants to touch or research again, in fear that their patents or their inventions will get hit by it. So all of that kind of stuff that happens in chain reaction of the government coming down and seizing things, and maybe not with black ops teams, but I think it's interesting that there's like kind of a real life comparison and examples of that kind of suppression.
So that was from Michael Butler. Just don't want to throw that out there. I had nothing to do with that. And hopefully I'm waiting for like 10 weeks from now when you're editing this to get a message from you. I decided to cut what I just said there.
Hey, yeah, I just wasn't feeling it. It turns out everything I said was wrong. No, government's great.
So all right then. Would you have liked Mira Sorvino as Lily Sinclair? She was actually going to play that part, but she left to go do Beautiful Girls, which was an episode we did, Butler.
Yep. Probably, yeah. I mean, the movie's all over the place. I mean, I like Rachel Weisz. I think she's really pretty. She's a good actress, but honestly, like, they're not giving dialogue in this movie. It's clearly, it's very clearly like a beat strip kind of. Yeah, beat script kind of thing. So
yeah, I think very similar to Born Identity, right? Born Identity, no,
where she's another scientist.
The fourth Born, I can't remember.
Born Identity, you were right.
No, Born Identity is the first
Born
one.
Legacy.
Born Legacy, jeez.
Yeah, where she's a scientist who, like, the government tries to shut down the program.
Same kind of
she
thing.
Gets kind of captured. A similar kind of story. I feel like she has more to do in Born Legacy, though.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, I think Mira Sorvino would have been fine. I think Rachel Weisz is fine. I don't think I would have liked the movie better or worse either way.
Okay. Did you note that one of my notes is that Jerry Goldsmith used a lot of the same score notes that he did in Executive Decision? He was doing these movies at the same time.
I did read that, and I get that because kind of stuff crosses over. I was actually listening to the Star Wars prequel soundtrack the other day while I was working, and I kind of noticed that was kind of recorded around the same time as Harry Potter, and there are some flourishes and score parts within the prequel and Harry Potter that I'm like, wow, that sounds very, very similar. So I think you can't help but, when you're scoring things concurrently or very close together, like,
right,
that probably happens.
Now, I mean, I think we've been relatively negative this episode. Well, give me some stuff that you really liked in this movie. How about that?
The bridge scene is really cool.
Okay.
I like the what's it called? Not like a hoverboat. What is it on the?
Yeah, like a fan boat.
Yeah, the fan boat on the ice. I thought that was really cool. That's one of the things I remembered the most going into this. Is I remember the fan boat going across the ice. I thought that was really cool. And like you said, the movie starts out kind of promising. I like that they get it working pretty much right away. It starts out really quick, to the point. everybody's celebrating, and I like the build up to it. And I like the look of the machine. I don't really know how I like the hydraulics kind of coming out of what's clearly cement blocks to make it shake.
Oh,
that was a little cheesy. But I do like the look of the machine. I like the water bubbling up with the light behind it. The explosion's pretty cool.
The opening.
Yeah, when he walks out and there's like some of the green fire and stuff around him.
So that explosion, the opening explosion was shot with miniatures with an old abandoned steel factory acting as the interior and exterior for the shots. And also the scene when Reeves is escaping on the motorcycle is mainly him on a blue screen with the explosion effects added in the post-production, which I think you can kind of tell from the 90s. And the live sequences had Reeves riding a motorcycle hooked up to the back of a truck while the camera was filming the take close-up. So you kind of have the mix of all that together
to make this shot.
Yeah. It's funny because when the explosion happened, my recollection of what it looked like was different than what it actually looked like. And I was like, what am I thinking of? What explosion am I thinking of? But I mean, it's still a nice opening to the movie. I think that's the first, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, you get into it pretty quick.
So I think that definitely, helps with the film in terms of getting you into it. But I think everything else that we had talked about was very difficult there's really just there is a story, but it's surface deep. And it's very tough to connect the dots when you're watching it, I think.
Yeah.
And there's even like I'm thinking about the moment when he's in the house. They both are in that house after the fan vote.
Oh, they just break into some random person's house and no one's
two guys
there.
Show up.
And Eddie takes them out
and
again.
That's it. Just two guys. I was really just baffled by that. And I wouldn't say I was sitting there like incredulous, being my arms up, like, oh my God, this movie's ridiculous. It was just kind of like, all right.
That's very movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably a good thing to say. It's very movie like. It's very 90s, maybe early 2000s movie like.
Yeah. It hits those Hollywood beats.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out is I said that like the bridge scene, but I forgot I have a note that when that cop tries to chase Keanu up the bridge and he falls down, the next shot is facing down the bridge at Keanu's face, and you can see the stuntmen pushing the blow up bag for the cop back under the bridge, so to get it out of frame.
Well, the stuntman, yeah. You're talking about he's running up and then he's sliding down.
He's running up, and the cop goes, and then they cut, and you can see all the guys pushing the balloon back. I'm like,
they're just catching them.
Why would you? What is that? Why would you even keep that?
They probably didn't think it mattered. I will say this though, and we talked about Paul Shannon a little bit, and I think what's interesting that this happened is that he gets away. Is that Paul Shannon drives off into the sunset or whatever.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting. Like he didn't really get caught. They didn't really stop him.
This is probably not his first rodeo doing this.
Yeah,
you get the idea that he's been doing this for a long time.
I don't think that's because they're going to do a spinoff or they were supposed to do a sequel, anything like that. I think he just gets away. I think they were just kind of like, and that's it. See you later, Paul.
I mean, that happens. Like sometimes the villain gets away.
This is true, Mike. This is very true. So let me get you some reviews. Roger Ebert, your friend.
We disagree quite often.
Yeah, I think you'll disagree here. Quote, by movie's end, I had seen some swell photography and witnessed some thrilling chase scenes, but when it came to understanding the movie, I didn't have a clue. So, I mean, yeah. Can you not drink on the mic, Mike? Jeff Millar of the Houston Chronicle, quote, the narrative is very complex, but what's on the screen is a little more than generic, non-narrative specific guy being chased stuff, which is kind of what we said.
Yep.
And then Ed Gothman of the San Francisco Chronicle felt the film was one of the summer's best movies, writing, quote, Chain Reaction has better acting, better writing, more spectacular chase sequences, and more genuine drama than all this summer's blockbusters.
Oh, I did see that. But what were the summer blockbusters?
Of 1996?
Of 96.
Well, I mean, this was August. Please hold. I mean, let me look that up.
96. Would that have been Lost World? As one of them?
No, not Lost World was 97.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Godzilla then is 98. Yep. Okay.
1996. Let's go to June or May. Let's go to May because that's when. Oh, this is Mission Impossible, I believe. Let me give you.
It's not better acted than Mission Impossible.
Better than The Craft. Come on now, May 3rd. The Craft. Twister was May 10th. Yeah, wrong.
Come on.
May 17th. Nothing. May 22nd. Mission Impossible.
Wrong.
I mean, let's see. I won't give it. I'll give you Dragonheart. Yeah, it's not better than Dragonheart.
Well, Dragonheart's better than Chain Reaction.
With Dennis Quaid?
Yes.
How about The Arrival with Charlie Sheen?
I have to watch that again. I remember not liking it when I first watched it.
It's okay, Butler.
But I was younger, so I was like, maybe
you're fine. The Rock. wasn't
The
Joe.
Rock is way better action. It has better
Cable
chase
Guy.
scenes.
It's not an action movie, but
Yeah.
Cable Guy. Let's see. Eraser.
I don't like Eraser at all. It's better than Eraser.
Nutty Professor. Independence Day.
You
July
can say
3rd.
you say what you want about Independence Day is stupid. The action Independence Day is way better.
I
What was
can't
the
believe
Come on.
I can't believe I forgot about Independence Day. Courage Under Fire. I mean, it's a good movie. Multiplicity. I love. The Frighteners. Butler. July 19th.
Frighteners is amazing.
Time to Kill was right before that. And then he saw Chain Reaction. So yeah, no, I don't. He just does. He's a hater. He's a hater of those other ones. I mean, come on.
He's a contrarian. That sounds like a contrarian to me.
Uh,
You just didn't get it.
So you talked about how, Frodell told you that he was one of the first movies he watched, and you had good memories of this film. I told you that I always kind of liked it.
Right.
I just said my buddy told me that he liked it, but now that we've talked about it, are you recommending this to people?
I mean, it's an easy time. It's a quick watch. Like we said, I think a lot of the problems is just very Hollywood, very movie like. Just guy like that reviewer. Guy chases guy runs from being chased. So I mean, in terms of that, it's a solid guy being chased movie kind of a thing. I just think don't look too deep into it. I think the Morgan Freeman character is very interesting. Like it's got stuff that keeps you, I don't want to say glued to the screen, but keeps you watching.
Right.
So anybody who likes action movies, something from the 90s they haven't seen before, like nostalgic for that kind of a movie, I think this is a solid watch in terms of that. I just wouldn't say
This movie's so great.
don't look too deep into it. Yeah. I wouldn't hold my hat if somebody came back and went, dude, you told me to watch that. I said you could watch. I said I wouldn't not recommend it.
So then why are we saying it's forgotten if we all have good recollections of it?
Because those recollections live in our memory. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't have cable anymore. This seems like something that would have been on cable back in the day. But I'm certainly not going to check it out now. I'm not going to scroll by HBO and go, yes, I do definitely want to watch
The poster
Action.
that they use, which is clearly the DVD cover or the VHS cover,
Yes.
is awful. That is the worst. I mean, can you just hire somebody for $1,000? Just give the right to do a better
To a good
poster than that,
poster?
please.
No.
That poster is garbage. But anyways,
But I think 1996, especially, like, look at all those movies that came out. It wasn't well reviewed. It didn't make a lot of money. And going up against Independence Day and Mission Impossible is just Dragonheart. Even Dragonheart plays on TV or used to play on TV all the time. Like, these movies are way bigger and way more popular, and maybe that's why it kind of, as a mid-90s action movie, kind of gets buried.
oh, do you think maybe that also because that summer? Because I mean, we're clearly disagreeing with the dude from the San Francisco Chronicle. But there's so many big movies that came out that summer that it kind of rides that wave of those other films. Because The Rock is really good. I think The Rock is Michael Bay's best movie. I believe that. It's one of the most annoying films that he's done for me.
Whoa.
Yeah, I said
He did
it.
Transformers 4, buddy.
Stop. The Rock, I think is his best film.
It's definitely up there for me.
It's
number one
my
or two.
favorite of his. Let's put it that way. That's probably a better way to say it. I'm not, throwing the gauntlet down of best films.
You
but yeah.
said it's your favorite. You
Yeah.
didn't say it's
Okay,
his, yeah,
okay,
yeah. No.
So, but there are like Independence Day, despite I have issues with Independence Day, but it's still, it was a huge film.
It's a huge film.
So like Mission
Tons of
Impossible
action.
was a huge film. So there's like, we just talked about we went through the whole thing. Do you think that this film rides that wave a little bit? We're like, oh, Chain Reaction, let's
You're just
go.
nostalgic about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember having either seen in theaters or rented all those movies leading up to it. So
Right.
then you're just like, man, the mid-90s just only had great movies. And it's just like, slow down. It had some okay ones too.
And before we go, I mean, there was another note that before the filming started, Keanu Reeves got hurt, in a hockey injury or something like that. It was
He's playing
pickup
hockey, yeah. A pickup game.
And so he he couldn't really work out. He was put on. They were like, oh, he puts the way he looks on camera. Like, he looked fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but like he looked like a normal dude.
That's such a Hollywood note. Is man,
Like,
that's why he gained all that weight.
I don't need my machinist to be 6'ab" ripped, and like it's okay. It's okay to have a regular, normal looking dude on screen. There,
90s Keanu was super skinny. So what did he gain? 15
I mean,
pounds?
give me a break. Give me a break. Anyways, where can they find us?
You can find us at ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or all over the socials like you did, or you're watching or listening to us right now. Why don't you go ahead, please like, rate, review, subscribe, comment. All that stuff really does help the channel grow. Even if you want to tell us how bad we are and that we're taking the piss or whatever. It all helps the podcast. If you'd like to support Forgotten Cinema or talk to us on Discord, you can join our Patreon. It's free to join. That gets you into the Discord where you can talk films to us. Talk about other 90s films that you remember being great that maybe we should take a look at. And if you want to support us further, we have a merch store and our Patreon has tiers where you can get exclusive early access to episodes, exclusive episodes just for you guys, like our lead up series. And yeah, that's all I got.
Awesome. Next week, we'll be back. We're staying in the 90s, 1992, 3. Who knows? Because it's a foreign film. We're doing John Woo's Hard Boiled. I'm pretty excited about that. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if Mike is or not. Who cares?
Nice.
As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema. Whoa. Wow. Hilarious.